And welcome to Monday Night. This is Sparky News Podcast, and you are watching the number one rated Monday Night unscripted Song of Ice and Fire prediction stream that starts at 7:15 p.m. on YouTube that we know of. Thank you for being here. And with me tonight, we have two of our guests. So two of our actually normal panelists. One's missing. But Jayne, please give them a little hello and where they can find you.
Hey guys, you can find me here on YouTube where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, as well as some occasional pop culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, Jayne. And I'm not even going to say it because you said you had some stuff. Go, sir.
Lord of Dragonstone, Master of Ships, King of Westeros, Lord of Storms, and King of the Andals and the Rhoynar, and the First Man, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm.
That was
by
good.
right. All who deny that are my foes. Let no man claim ignorance as a defense. You'll bend the knee or I'll destroy them.
I love it.
Oh God.
He does that so well. All right. And his name is Stig, if you needed to know, but we call him Sir, or I'm sorry, Your Grace Stannis Baratheon. We're going to say, damn right. Damn right. We got V Star 333 in the chat. I got some of the stuff you sent me. Haven't had a time to go over it, but sometimes people DM me on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. It's hard to get back to everybody. So I apologize if I haven't. I'm really not good at it. We also have Miss Martin Muse, the great, one of our special guests almost now every Wednesday night. And we have the memes of destruction, which I appreciate you dropping by, my friend. Stig is Stannis. That is true. Stannis is Stig. It's kind of like Ihorn is Finkel. Finkel is Ihorn.
All who deny that are my foes.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, like I said, we are a unscripted. This Monday night is a Winds of Winter unscripted dialogue, predictions, history, meta stuff. So whatever I have listed up, we usually try to start that route, but you never know where we're going to go. Last week, we were going to talk about Marine, and really all we talked about was the 2 paragraphs about Dany's vision in the House of the Undying. And I still think that was one of our better. I love that. That was so much fun. So tonight we are starting off, and I hope we stick with it, with House Dayne. And I'll give you a little quick history on who House Dayne is. House Dayne is considered one of the oldest houses in Westeros. They are the southwest section of Dorne, in the Red Mountains, on an island where legend has it the ancestors of House Dayne followed a star that landed, a meteor most likely, but a star, and they followed it to where it landed, and where it landed was on this island in the what is that? The torrent time or something like that. That's the river, right?
The star might be the island, to be honest.
Wow, that big of a impact, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you, dude. No. Is Ace Ventura transphobic? No. Ace Ventura is a movie of its time. Okay, people? Just like people of their time are people of their time. Let's not judge them with today's criteria as much as we have been. Fatal J, what up? Welcome to my chat. Back to House Dayne. Sorry, I'm very ADD. So House Dayne,
that whole body of water is the Summer Sea. I think that's the whole thing.
Well, the river, it flows into the Summer Sea. The river that they're in an outlet or inlet of the Summer Sea, but the river that feeds into the Summer Sea right there, I want to say is the Torrent or the Torrent Times, something like, I always forget the name of it. So it cuts through the Red Mountains. If you know in the chat, please let me know. So they found a meteor where it landed on on this island, or was the island, where maybe like Wakanda type thing. And in a way, it is kind of like Wakanda if you wanted to think Black Panther, because they create out of this meteor their ancestral sword, and the name of their sword is Dawn. It's explained as same properties as a Valyrian steel sword. It is as white as milk, or I think that's how they say it. Like it's like a
glass.
milk glass color. Always holds its edge and it's stronger than it looks because it's a very thin sword. So whereas Valyrian steel is created by dragons and magic and most likely blood magic, this was, we don't know exactly how created, but created out of this asteroid.
What's the motto though? House Dane, we milk our enemies.
Exactly.
Well, we don't know.
We
That's the
don't know.
thing.
And that was something I was going to bring up in a little bit. So they followed the star, it landed, they created their house, their ancestral sword. They created their castle, which is what is it? The Starfall. And they were like kings of the Red Mountains for a while. The funny thing about the Danes is that they are first men descent, but pre-Valyria, pre-the Andals, we think. Pre-Valyria, pre-the Andals coming over to Westeros, they are the only first men that we hear of that have family members that have purple, violet, light, dark blues, eye color like a Valyrian. But George, in an interview, made it very, very a very big point that no, they're not Valyrians, that yes, they have some of the characteristics, but that doesn't mean that only Valyrians have that characteristic, but they're the only other set of people that are not of Valyrian descent that have those eye colors, which we'll get into also. When we get into the book Game of Thrones, we don't hear a lot. It's mostly in flashbacks or fever dreams, but House Dayne is one of the most talked about houses in the book next to the Lannisters, the Baratheons, and the Starks, which is kind of interesting. George was setting up something with the Danes. The Danes' ancestral sword is not passed down from lord to lord. It is actually, you have to earn the right to carry it. Not every generation has one, but the person that earns this right is called the Sword of the Morning. And a lot of, dawn, Sword of the Morning, sunrise, morning wood, oh wait, a lot of that imagery, which I find very interesting. In the first book, we get to meet in, again, flashbacks, in Ned's flashbacks, Sir Arthur Dayne, who was one of the King's Guard during the Mad King's reign, and one of probably, if not the best friend to Rhaegar. And we see him at the Tower of Joy. So while his best friend and king were not there, he was there. Questions. And then we meet also in flashbacks Ashara Dayne, who is, this beautiful violet-eyed girl with dark hair, a streak of white or, silver in her hair, that at one of the most talked about things in the history of Westeros is the tourney of Harrenhal, danced with different men, but yet maybe fell in love with Ned Stark there. There's all this history with them.
No, it wasn't Ned.
Well, it most likely was his brother, correct?
No.
Okay, let me just finish this and then we'll get to whatever you guys want, because I really do like going that. I love that idea. And what she was said to have done is have a stillborn baby out of wedlock, find out her brother was killed by Ned Stark and Howland Reed at the Tower of Joy. And when Ned brings back his ancestral sword, he leaves. She throws herself off the tower, Starfall, into the waterfall down into the river. And then the only other, go ahead, buddy.
And no body was found.
Exactly. Right. Thank you for saying that. No body was found. Also, the only other two that we get to hear of is, what was the kid's name again? I just asked you guys. Edric Dayne, whose nickname is Ned. He is the squire for Lord Beric Dondarrion. And then we meet also Darkstar, and he is down in Dorne with the Ariana line. So quick, real introduction. Wherever you guys want to start this, we'll start. There's a couple things I do definitely want to hit on, but let's talk the Danes. And if you guys got a question in the chat, please put @Spork or @Sporky News, so I definitely see it. And please make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. It helps out the channel. Maybe retweet my tweet, get some other people in here. Thank you guys. All right. So who
Well,
wants to start off?
I have a theory about Ashara Dayne.
Okay.
Okay.
I was actually doing some research today and freshening up because I didn't remember too much. We know that she at one point got pregnant
Mm-hmm.
and she lost a baby.
That's what they say.
That's
Yeah.
what they say.
And
A baby girl.
yeah, the popular theory is that she did something with Ned because they were in love and blah, blah, blah. In Ned's chapters, he never thinks about her at all. There's no guilt, nothing.
Right.
So I don't think that happened.
Oh, you've talked to me about this before. I like this theory. Go ahead.
And plus, they wouldn't have named, what was it, named Edric?
Edric, Ned.
Yeah, they wouldn't have named him Ned if Ned Stark had made her pregnant, ditched her, and killed her brother, and then.
Well, also the kid doesn't talk bad about him at all, and he's talking to Arya, her his daughter. You would think if they didn't like him, he would know this, and I mean, it's only a generation removed. So.
Yeah, but Howland Reed is the Lord of what's it called? Place. He's a Crannogman.
Yes,
they'll look down upon big time. He's even beaten up by a couple of squires at the tourney, even though he's a lord. That's how little people think of it. And he was with Ned all the time. And all we know is that someone talked in Ned's tent, and one of them was Ashara, and they just assumed the other one was Ned.
Right.
I think it's Howland Reed because Sir Barristan, right? He is not a great judge of character. He's very set in his ways about people, right? Women are like this, guys are like that, stuff like this. He has a little thing in book 5 when he's thinking about something about Daenerys, and he says she wants fire and Dorne sent her mud. You could make a poultice out of mud to cool a fever. You could plant seeds in mud and grow a crop to feed your children. Mud could nourish you, where fire would only consume you. But fools and children and young girls would choose fire every time. If he's wrong, it means one young girl choose mud. Right?
I didn't think of that.
Howland Reed.
I like that.
And that would also be George Martin's little The Princess and the Frog story. Within
Krennic Men.
Yeah. So if
it would also
parallel
and the runaway love story.
Yeah, and House Reed is way in the north, and yet Mira Reed is the heir, not Jojen. Mira.
Right, they follow Dornish law.
Yeah, which is odd, very odd, unless Mummy is from down there.
Right.
And and Ned immediately went to Ashara Dayne after he had killed the Sword of the Morning and did that thing with Lyanna. So, and he also took credit for killing Arthur Dayne when Howland Reed was the one who did it, which is not very Ned-like, unless he took the credit for it to protect Howland Reed, to keep the eyes off Howland Reed.
Okay, so can we say one thing there though, Stig? And you've kind of touched on this before. I was rereading a couple chapters here and there, and when Bran's talking about his father telling the story of what happened with Sir Arthur Dayne, he says, I'm paraphrasing, but without the intervention pretty much of Howland Reed, he would be dead. He never said without Howland Reed, killing or hurting or maiming. He just pretty much says without the intervention of Howland Reed. Now, let's just say that The tourney of Harrenhal was almost a year prior, maybe even longer. This relationship you're talking about between Howland Reed and her grew. They were pregnant. They were having a child. Maybe he intervened by saying, look, I am in love with your sister, maybe even married, and I'm having a child with her. Please, we are not here, blah, 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 blah. So maybe he intercede, because I don't know. We don't know what happened down there. There's still it's fever dreams you can't trust, so, and why would he tear down the tower? I'm still thinking about that.
And
Go
also
ahead.
the fact that, he returned with the sword, but not with Arthur's body.
Right. No bones of anybody, just the sword. Well,
Yeah.
and I have theories about that too. I mean, we'll get into that later. I just go ahead. Stig,
What I
you
think
were
happened
saying.
though, because Ashara Dayne was Lyanna Stark's friend.
Mm-hmm.
She knows all kinds of stuff, right? She was right in the middle of that whole soap opera. And when Ned returned to Ashara Dayne after Lyanna had passed away, he might have taken her north to Howland Reed, because she committed suicide right after. Very convenient, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right after they left.
Yeah, and there was no body.
Right.
So I'm thinking they just smuggled her out somewhere, took her to Howland Reed. And here's the thing. With that, if that's true, we now have someone who can verify that Jon is Lyanna's daughter. Is Lyanna's son.
Right. Or Daenerys is her daughter. I always wondered that. Or Mira. I don't know who's who. What I can say. Oh, go ahead.
And Ashara Dayne can be identified due to her very purple eyes.
Yes.
So they can verify who she is.
Right. Yeah, because people think, oh, she's Scepter Lemore or she's this or that, but her eyes would be a dead giveaway, and we've heard nothing that even comes close. One thing you also have to think about is if it was Ned Stark, like people in the North thought that Ned had a thing with her, but once again, Ned Dayne brings up Wyla, just like Robert did. So if he even had a hint that it was his aunt that had a relationship with Ned, wouldn't you think he would go there, not this Wyla, the wet nurse?
Well, he may not know though. He may not know the extent of it, because if what you're talking about is this of Ashara running off with Howland to the north, it parallels Lyanna running off with Rhaegar to the south.
Oh yeah, it's a story that,
and only the people involved know about it.
Right.
All the families have their own stories.
I think what I'm saying though is, well, I already kind of touched on that, but if she threw herself off the heights of Starfall and killed herself over Ned, which some people believe, or maybe even Brandon, but most likely Ned, wouldn't Ned Stark or Ned Dayne think they had something? Like, he doesn't even touch on them having a relationship. Well, you know what I mean?
So that rumor, right? Has spread to Winterfell.
Right.
Yet not even Catelyn believes it.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, she never mentions Ashara Dayne at all.
Yes, she does.
Wyla too, huh?
No. She brings up Ashara Dayne once to Ned and said she's never seen that type of fury in him. And he demanded to find out where he heard that rumor. And then Ashara Dayne was never spoke of again in Winterfell.
Yeah, but she never even thinks it.
No, it's because she overheard it. Yeah. Cersei's one of the ones that think it,
But Catelyn obviously doesn't think about it at all. She's very jealous. So I'm thinking Ned probably convinced her that was not the case. Big time.
See, I don't even think that. I think he just Ned Stark's he's a Northernman. He said his piece. This boy's going to be raised as one of my own, and that's it. And she's just harbored. Let's not get into her again. I hate her.
I know, she's so horrible.
What I like to touch on is, going back to the history of the Daynes. Who are they? George makes it abundantly clear in interviews that they're not Valerians. Now, Valerians have married
Well,
into the family, but
here's the thing,
originally
though.
not.
They're not. If you say they're not Valyrian, okay, that's
Mhm.
fine. They may well predate Valyrians,
Yes. Okay.
and they could
Go on
have a
with that.
common origin
Right. And
to
who could
explain
that
the
be?
genetics of their eyes, because we do know genetics is a part of, how people are identified in the story.
Right.
I just
Right.
came up with a magnificent theory.
Hmm.
And then go for it, my friend.
The fallen star was no star; it was a spaceship, and the Danes were on it.
Well,
They're aliens.
I wouldn't put that past George Martin. I wouldn't put it past him. Some people think this is a post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, the sword Dawn is actually a lightsaber-ish sword.
That's
no.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Though, okay, so they could predate. They do most likely predate Valeria. They came over before the Arm of Dorn was smashed, and that is pre-Valerian freehold, I believe. Now, the color of their eyes relates back to a couple, maybe one or two of the great Empire of the Dawn rulers. Amethyst. I always say that wrong. Amethyst.
Yeah.
That's a purplish color. Who's to say? And her brother overthrew her to start the first long night. So who's to say they're not a descendant of the Amethyst Empress? We don't know. Now we do know that there were people of pretty technical abilities created some things in Westeros before the first men came. You have the base of the High Tower in Old Town, which isn't far from Starfall. You have not the wall, but the sea stone chair in the aisle. So there's different things around.
And the 5 forts that were outside the Great Empire. Yeah.
Right. In Essos, exactly, which mimic pretty much the wall. They protect you from the north. Now, Dawn, Sword of the Morning. We don't know their house words. And George has admitted in an interview from questions that if he gave them the house words, it may give away too much of the story. Now, this was a couple years back. I don't know if George's original idea of what the Daynes were, how important they were, has changed. I don't know. Because when we meet Ned Dayne, he was 12. And we're supposed to then into book 4 jump 5 years. And then he would have been, 17, maybe being able to wield Dawn. Well, he replaced him with none other than the great emo son bitch himself, Darkstar.
Right.
So did he change his story or did he just change the one character? I don't know. I feel like they're important, but what do you guys think?
I think that the whole point of them is to get the sword to Jon somehow.
I do too.
And so I don't think it matters which of them bears it or which of them ends up with Jon in the same space where he can get it. But, using Darkstar as that element of a character whose future may be very different from what we expect, which is consistent with other characters. So he comes across as arrogant and somewhat cruel and maybe even dark as a star.
Definitely.
But
he cuts Marcella,
Yeah. But that could change, or he could, it could be that Jon has to put him down and take the sword. We don't know.
He's very jealous of his ancestor, Sir Arthur Dayne. He was only a great knight because he had Dawn. Like he's a jealous kid.
That was an interesting thing when he said that too, because, I think it was also said by George that the sword gives those who wield it a slight advantage.
Well, magical properties.
Right. So he could be right. Darkstar could be telling the truth there.
I mean, just like I think it's a stronger sword than Valyrian steel, and even Valyrian steel. If not gives you enhancements magically, it definitely gives you, because of the magic in the sword and the craftsmanship, an advantage in an actual sword fight. Your sword will be sharper, thinner, quicker, lighter. You know what I mean? So or is it a magical enhancement? Like you hold this and you get just a little boost to your skills? I don't know.
Well,
but
it
it
says
is a great
alive
sword.
with
That's a
light.
big ass sword.
Alive with light.
Right. Alive with light. I mean, everything has light to do with this family.
I
So
know.
I'm guessing like, you know, their house words will be something to the effect of like, you know, night at night's end, dawn is, you know, starts or some shit. It's something about ending
Here's-
the long
Builders of the light.
Here's the
The
thought,
light
though.
bringers.
night bringers.
Only a sword in the morning gets to wield dawn, right?
Right.
You need to be knighted as a sword of morning.
Mm-hmm.
If what I said is true, that Ashara Dayne is in the north, she could knight Jon Snow.
She could.
Ta-da!
And he is a
'Cause he's-
cousin.
Yeah. They're both related to the Daynes.
Yeah.
Right. You were
Yeah.
saying that earlier,
Mhm.
Danny and John. Now that's only assuming that John is a Targaryen, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't
Which
know
is-
that yet in the books.
It's fairly safe, though.
Yeah, 90% sure.
It's a safe bet, but still, he can't go all the way down to Dorne and get knighted if
House was
he's
promised.
yeah.
I love it.
That is fantastic. Can I just give a shout out to Mango's Big Thanks? He is, I don't know if Mango has a channel, but he definitely has a Twitter that are my best friend in the world. You know, everybody knows Drunk 3PO and me are best friends. I can't stop him from hanging out with me, but he asked everybody to follow. So please give Mango's Big Thanks a follow. And if he does have a channel, which I don't know if he does or not, so I'm going to check
It's
it out.
Mongo.
I'm sorry, Mongo. Please give him a follow and a subscribe. For my BFF, you know, seems like a good guy too. So I think, look, I don't know if the show is real, you know, what we saw in the last couple seasons on the show. Like one of the things I don't know if I believe is that water will stop them, you know, instead of them just freezing it and walking over it. You know how they sat around them waiting for Danny to pick them up and they just like waited for the ice to freeze over again. But some of the most important castles in Westeros are on islands. If you think about it,
That's true.
you have Starfall, you have Dragonstone.
Isn't that the case in Scotland too, though?
If you're not a complete island, you're almost a peninsula. You know what I mean? Like they're, but the island ones seem to be more magical. Dragonstone, you know, you have Starfall. I guess I'm not going to say Bear Island is magical, but you never know.
Could be. I mean, they do have some weird stories.
And we don't know what's on the Isle of Faces,
right?
But that seems to be important.
We do know.
Well,
it's faces.
It's a grove of faces. Awesome. Toxic Man Flu coming in. Thank you for being here, buddy. What does he say? I figured Scott's best friend was a drunk droid. It's about right. That's about right. The best looking guy on YouTube. Come on. You see this? Come on. So if we find out that, would you be surprised if we find out that, you know, the ancestral sword Dawn is Lightbringer?
I would not be surprised at all. And in fact, that's what I'm anticipating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really hoping that's it, because it would explain so much of why they're there and why they're involved in this plot with Ned. And it would explain the special qualities of the sword.
Mm-hmm.
There's none other like it.
I have an idea, you know, like they're the most southern. And someone asked a question before. I'm sorry. It was Adam Price. Adam, yes, the comet from Clash with Kings, which is the red comet, I guess, that doesn't crash. What Old Nan is, we believe what Old Nan says usually, it means dragons have returned, you know, or dragons are returning. So, you know, magic has returned. It didn't crash though. So I believe this, and I don't have much proof to add to this, but after the long night, the Starks realized that Winterfell was very important for whatever reason, the crypts, this or that, but they didn't want to leave the weapon that destroyed the others there. So what did they do? They went almost as far south as they could to a first man house and let them keep that sword for when the long night returns on an island protected, there. You brought it up before after the Tower of Joy, and we find out in Dance with Dragons, Ned did not bring back any of his companions' bones. The only thing he did was return one person's horse, but he goes that far south to bring back a sword. He knows there's a connection between the Starks and the Daynes that may have been lost, but only the lords might know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people are taking it as they're in there's a love interest, but I think it's more of there's a
pact.
Yes.
Here's a thought. Maybe the children of the forest made the blade.
We don't hear how it's forged.
No, we're just told it was forged.
Right.
That's a hell of a sword to forge, though, when they can't even make Valyrian steel weapons, because they can only reforge those. But they can make something like this.
Well, but this was done so long ago. We don't know what technology they had back then.
Yeah, but it's before the long night, which means maybe the children of the forest made a weapon they could use for when the long night comes.
Yeah. Like you create the disease and the cure at the same time type thing.
I don't think the children of the forest created the White Walkers.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that either. I think they had something to do with them. I don't know if they created them or they woke them back up. I don't know what they did, but they did something.
I think it could be that they were enemies before, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then humans became enemies later, and now they're working with the White Walkers to take revenge, right? Take back their country. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Real quick, Tina. Yes, Barristan Selmy had a crush on her. From his eyes, we see who she danced with that night. It was like, the Lord of the Roos, which is John Coddington, a couple White Knights, which were a couple of the King's Guard, a Red Viper, which is Oberyn Martell, and the Quiet Wolf, but his brother had to, ask her for him. But one thing he does say is that he wishes, you're right, he wishes that he won the tournament to give her the crown for being the Queen of Love and Beauty, and maybe the whole rebellion wouldn't have happened. You never know. Toxic Man Flu says, like the presidential book of secrets, only passed down orally. I don't know. It may be just orally, or it might just be a connection, like a pact that they have between the Lord of this house and the Lord of that house. Because does anybody know who the Lord of Starfall is? For the Daynes family, who's that Lord? It's
like Edric's dad.
It's the older brother. That's it. That's all we know. And he must be up there now in age, because he was older than Sir Arthur Dayne, and Sir Arthur Dayne was older than Ned and all those guys. So,
and he must have known what was going on for Edric to be named after Ned.
Exactly. You wouldn't, even if you call him Edric, you would never nickname him Ned. If Ned Stark killed your younger brother and maybe had something to do with your sister's suicide, and he was a horrible man. I have a feeling, and I know a lot of people are against this idea. I feel like Sir Arthur Dayne did not die. I don't know who he could have been or where he could have gone, maybe north of the wall. I don't know. Some people thought Mance Rayder was either him or Rhaegar. Well, Mance has been known throughout the years, though. People knew his history, so it can't be him. But who's to say Sir Arthur Dayne isn't somebody else in the story we don't know yet? I don't know. There's such an important
but I don't think they're first men. I will say that I'm in the camp that believes that they came from the east and that they descend from sort of proto-Valyrians or
right.
what have you, and that they may have had some role in the long night in the east and then came to Westeros.
Right. That could be. That could definitely be. I do think they come from the line of the Amethyst Empress. there's no proof. It's just a feeling. I just want to say hello to Snatchface the Fool. We haven't seen you in a
Hey,
live chat.
Snatchface.
We always bring you up, so it's so good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. All right, so now we have their history. We don't know where they're from. They have those Valerian-esque looks, but they're said there to be first men. Now we move generations more. There's a lot of cross-family, breeding, let's just say. So they're gonna have some now Valerian aspects. So people always think it's the Valerian, but it's not. Now we get up to the time of, right before Robert's Rebellion. I think George was using Sir Arthur Dayne and Ashara Dayne as a nostalgic thing. Like everybody looks back at them as the perfect knight, but yet this perfect knight allowed his king to rape and abuse his wife, to kill people for no freaking good reason. So, are you that honorable?
Couldn't you say that about Rhaegar too? I mean, Rhaegar knew what was going on.
Yeah, that was his mother.
I don't know that you can. I mean, what were they supposed to do? Kill the king?
I get that. I don't know. I feel like people look back, and anytime you look in the old days at something that was all right, it's always much better. Or if it was bad, it's always much worse when you look back. Those times in college, I could tell you there was times in college where I thought, oh man, I'm freaking out. This is the worst time of my life. And now I look back and I'm like, God, I wish I could go back to those times. Yeah, bullshit. It's just one of those things where I think Sir Arthur Dayne, Jaime looks at him as the perfect knight. Ned never looks at him disrespectfully. I just feel like they're the quote unquote archetype for like the normal fantasy, like knight and princess type people. I feel like maybe in this book, we're going to get a little more meat on who they are.
Here's something though. Prince Oberyn Martell and Princess Elia Martell visited Starfall on their way to Casterly Rock, where their mother was to broker the marriage to the Lannister twins, Jaime and Cersei. Never happened, but they went to Starfall on their way to Casterly Rock. It's
a little bit out of the way. It's a little bit out of the way.
Because if you take a boat, because Sunspear is on the coast and so is Casterly Rock.
Right.
So that is a bit
the exact opposite direction.
Well, even if you took land, you would be already heading northwest before going that far west to go. Like you made it. There's a reason you went there.
Yeah, and they also went into the mountains to get there. Because that's it's in the Western Red Mountains.
Yeah.
So that's quite a deviation.
That's a deviation. It really is. You're right.
And then Oberyn and Elia, none of them married Cersei or Jaime.
Ooh.
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. And look at, was
there something someone said in Starfall that made him
I don't know.
change their mind?
I know they visited Casterly Rock, and Tywin really wanted Rhaegar to marry Cersei. I don't know. That's an interesting one, man. And I just saw, look at this. Starfalls are traditionally associated with awakenings, right? I do not know. Is that a term? Starfalls are considered like an awakening of the mind? Is that what you're saying, Toxic? Maybe there was a Sir Jeffrey Epstein who had dirt on them all, like a keeper of secrets. Yeah, his name is Varys, the spider.
Right.
Oh, another monster. Where have you been, my friend? Sup, y'all? Got off work early. Thank God for that. Welcome to the chat, my friend. And Adam Price, is it ever told who Darkstar's parents were? Shoot.
I can look it up.
Yeah,
I don't know, because there is a theory that he's a Targaryen too. So I don't know if his parents are known or disputed.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
No, he's an emo.
Huh. He's definitely an emo. He's definitely emo. If I can get a
He
picture
reminds
of him,
me a
oh
little
my
bit of
God.
Euron.
Yeah, in a way. He has that look. If you look at pictures drawn of him, he has that look, like that
Mm-hmm.
Euron look. So I don't know.
No,
That's
it
interesting.
looks like a. It looks like a girly man.
So could the Danes have been dragon riders pre the Valerians coming to Westeros?
I think so. I think, especially if you follow Preston Jacobs' theory about the genetics of dragon riding and you tie that in with the Valyrian characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
if they do have a common ancestor, which I
Mm-hmm.
think so, it's indicated
Okay.
by their features, then it's possible that they were dragon riders, and it would also explain how they got from the Great Empire of the Dawn to Dornish territory, especially during that same time period. If they came, if their ancestors arrived at the same time as the Long Night or shortly thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
And we do know that the black stone that you were talking about earlier, the fortress beneath the tower,
Yes.
is the same stone, that pressed black stone that's made from dragon fire. So, and we also know there were dragons in Westeros.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And who could have the DNA to actually ride one, but someone who may come from the Great Empire of the Dawn that most likely had dragon riders at one point. I think.
Mhm. It's the only way they could have gotten those things built. Those the 5 forts, if they're made of that same material.
Right. Right. Because those are made out of the black material, right? The black stone,
Yeah.
the 5 forts.
Mhm.
Okay.
That pressed black
that is-
stone that is only
Right.
forged through dragon fire or shaped through dragon fire.
Right. There's a difference between that stone and the oily black stone. Correct? I always thought there's the dragon stone that like looks like what dragonstone was made of. There's no creases, there's no seams, no mortar is needed.
Mhm.
This stuff is, fireproof for the most part and very strong. And then there's an oily black stone that they talk about that's very ancient. And I'm wondering, I can't remember now off the top of my head which one's which and where which ones are. So,
I mean, I don't remember either exactly, but it could be the same thing. I mean, it could be that the only way you can use it is with a dragon's fire. It may still have a mysterious origin.
Right.
It wasn't created by dragon fire, but that the only way you can make things of it, sort of like with Valyrian steel, it takes a particular technique or particular tools. In this case, it may take, you have to have dragons to do anything with this stone.
Gotcha. That's a good idea. Yeah, I didn't think of that. I like that. So what theory do you guys think what do you think Dark Star is up to? Now, I know like Stig said he only read that part of the book once. Now Dark Star was involved in the whole Myrcella, trying to make her queen, pronounce her queen of Westeros. And he actually didn't he cut off her ear?
Yeah.
Something crazy like that.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
He tried to decapitate her, but the horse reared, and he only scarred her face and chopped her ear off.
Right. He's not the best dude in the world.
No.
I just spotted a little Easter egg on the map.
What was that?
It says the Tor. George Martin's wildcard books are published by Tor Publishing.
Right. The Tor is this river, correct?
No, it's a place. It's House Tor.
House Tor.
Yeah, Tor.
Oh, it's on the map.
Yeah.
Oh, over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys see my arrow when I do that? Okay.
Tor Publishing publishes Martin's other books.
Well, going back to what Stig said earlier, here's Sunspear,
Mm-hmm.
right on the coast. You could easily have took a boat and went all the way around Westeros to Castle 3 Rock. if you're going to walk out of here, you most likely would stay more coastline because this is all desert you have to
Right.
cross.
Exactly.
So why would you go from Sunspear all the way to Starfall to go back to the Prince's Pass instead of going just up either to Yarnwood and go out that way? Or, you know what I mean? So there's a reason they went all the way there.
Actually, they could take a boat and then swing by Starfall upriver with the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and then leave and continue.
Yeah,
the
that's
boat.
true.
But still, it's out of the way, isn't it?
It
Just-
is.
Especially if you're going
I
to
don't know
broker a
if they
marriage.
were like on a tour. Well, were they testing all these different families? You know, maybe.
they're-
I don't know.
Get opinions from everybody, all of the lords.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you
does this
think
say?
about this Jamie fellow?
So, falling stars in Greece signify the rising or falling of human souls. It is considered a good luck charm, hence the urging to make a wish. George likes to pull from
Interesting.
mixing myths and reality. You're absolutely
Wasn't-
right. He does.
Wasn't Lucifer also called a falling star?
He was the
Not
morning
the-
star.
The
Yeah.
Morning Star.
Falling angel, morning star. Yeah. I mean, again, are they the good guys or are we the bad guys that we're reading about? We still don't know. You know, like, are the others the really good guys in this and man's the bad ones? We don't know. And that's what I love about his writing. I just don't know.
It's because they're all gray, really.
I do love my oily Blackstone. Let's see. John Norms Lang's book are Tor. Okay. Have you ever read him? John Norms Lang?
Mm-mm.
Stig?
No.
Yeah. I know that a lot of the places George named, giving people like some, credit, people he likes, he names certain things for. So maybe that's what
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah, there's oh, I actually knew about the Tor thing. There's a guy named Sir Trebor Jourdain of House Tor.
Mhm.
That's Trebor is Robert backwards. It's Robert Jordan.
Oh,
He-
shit. Yeah.
His books got published by Tor as well. He
That's
wrote
so
the Wheel
great.
of Time series. And there's something at the wall of one of the castles are called Oakenshield. That's from
Right.
The Hobbit.
From The Hobbit. Yep.
Yeah, George said he had put a pile of stuff like that into the books, and he enjoy hearing it when people spot
Right.
something.
Well, like one of the ones they spotted when 1-1 is fighting the guy before John's murder. The night he's fighting has the Dallas Cowboys football team's star as their sigil, and he's getting beat by a giant because George is a huge Giants fan, and in American football, Stig, the Giants and Cowboys are a huge rival. So he put that in there. So he did a lot of funny stuff. Let's see. What else do we have for these guys?
Well, another interesting thing too is how the sword passes.
I was just going to bring that up. So please talk about it. That's so
No.
funny you said that.
It's just the fact that it passes to the most worthy family member as opposed to the oldest son. Which, if this is a tradition that's been going on for as long as they've had the sword, then it may mean that whoever first wielded it established this tradition and established it for a reason.
Mhm.
They wanted to maybe have their descendants competing. Everybody's trying to be the strongest,
Right.
the one most worthy of wielding it for the time that they actually need to.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Like, this is the only house we hear of doing it in this way. Like, you have to earn the right to
Mhm.
hold this sword. Now, Darkstar might be stealing it very soon. He's like going to a house that's very close to Starfall.
Mhm.
He left those guys after he cut Marcella. So, and he's so jealous of, Arthur Dayne and anybody who was the sword of the morning. Maybe this is how George fixes getting the sword to John instead of having, a 12-year-old get it.
Mhm.
You have a very talented fighter. He steals it. He becomes the sword of the evening,
Mhm.
somehow confronts John. John kills him. Now he has Dawn.
Mhm.
Now, going into one of Stig's theories, John, using Dawn, will have to kill the Fire White through her heart
Mhm.
Daenerys, and because she's a fire white, when he pulls Dawn out, that blood magic will be instilled into Dawn. It'll be a fiery sword again.
It would be
Lightbringer.
amazing.
Well,
Amazing.
Catelyn is also a fire white. She's closer.
Right. I just feel like it would be Daenerys to represent like. Will they
If he
have a
killed
relationship?
Cat, though, that would be wonderful. That would be
That would be
justice.
so dope.
Then you'd
Oh my
have.
god,
Then where would the dragons go?
that's true.
Wait, what?
Well, maybe he has the ability
Where would
to.
the dragons go? I think they would follow John.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, maybe he's the
Why?
last Targaryen.
Yeah.
He just killed their mom.
And
Surely
they are
they would be a
intelligent
bit
beings.
peeved.
Well,
don't
you
know.
don't know. Did he bond with one of them? Because once you have that bond with one of the dragons, that dragon will follow you to the bitter end.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just him and his dragon, maybe,
Hmm.
that survive.
Yeah, still, he's very far away from her, and there's 2 books left.
Right.
And he's
Well, that's one of John. That's one of his. He calls it the mare, and he's not. He got himself locked up in Essos.
Or Ashara's daughter is still alive. And I know it's late to try to weave her back into the story, but what if she's the one who has to die by it and she sacrifices herself?
Right.
They've
Or
hidden her
Ashara.
away all of this time for that purpose.
well, Ashara's daughter might be Mira Reed. She's very much nearby.
That is true. Whoa.
Wait a minute. Say that one more time. Mary Reed, what is the daughter? Right.
She might be the daughter of Ashara Dayne.
Could be.
If what I said earlier turns out to be true.
Okay.
So
She could sacrifice herself.
You never know. Look what Toxic Manflu says here. Starfall representing the falling or rising human soul could be could the sword house human soul through blood magic.
Dang it.
The soul chooses who it will wield it. Discuss among yourselves. That is a dope concept.
That would be freaking epic.
We do not know how they are chosen. We still don't. We assume it's the Lord of Starfall.
The sword could be choosing the wielder.
Right, because
Awesome.
think about this. If you're if you're the Lord of Starfall, wouldn't you want to wield Dawn?
Yes.
yeah, but then we'd be walking very much into Dungeons and Dragons territory.
Well, you know,
Sentient swords and stuff.
I'm not saying it's sentient. I mean, look at Lightbringer in a way as, you know, I mean, there are magical swords in this story. Now, I understand what you're saying. It's more, but he does follow like a Arthurian legends in this story already.
Yes.
You know, so who could, maybe this is the sword in the stone. You know, you have to be maybe not chosen, but the sword will not.
You have to be the one.
Well,
Right. It won't.
It was already pulled from the stone that fell from the sky.
Right.
Technically, because they forged it from that stone.
Correct. Now,
and it was also in the lake, wasn't
wow.
it?
Now,
Probably
maybe.
so. But this is the thing too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Starfall is in the lake.
Yeah, you're right. Well, it's in that right. Hold on. It's right here. They show it on land, but it's actually like right here in the middle where the mouth starts to open up to the sea. So it's right in the middle of the river. So could it be this? Oh, go ahead, Jane.
No, I was just gonna say the other thing too with Darkstar, it's setting up him for failure if that's the case, because he believes that this power, that the sword gives you this particular power, and he is darker, right? He's not a sword of the morning type of guy,
right?
So if he does go and steal the sword, thinking that he can now use it and wield it the way his ancestors did, he may be in for a surprise if it doesn't choose him.
Right now, or it might not even be that deep. It might be the sword. You might be able to wield it, but you can't wield the extra benefits from it.
Like,
you know what
he
I mean?
can carry it around, but it's not going to do for him what he thinks.
Make him better. Let's see what his souls and relics is throughout human history. He's absolutely right. Lady of the Lake. Or Valerian steel came from meteors, which are falling stars. We don't know.
The Valerian steel is darker, though. Like, this is a completely different material.
Yeah, they're from volcanoes, kind of.
Right. It's actual steel that is infused with magic and fire from a dragon and blood magic most likely. So that's why it's a darker steel. It's blood magic. Now, is Dawn lighter because it's not like blood magic, but it's I don't know. It holds a soul, so that's light. That's I don't know. That's an interesting thing. Give me 1 second, guys. Speak among yourselves about this topic. I'll be right back.
If it holds a soul, that could mean that's the soul that was used the first time. The lady that
Oh,
stabbed through the chest.
that Nisa.
But maybe that one has been spent. Who knows? I still think Lightbringer, even if, well, it might not be Dawn, because that would also be very obvious, wouldn't it?
I don't know if it would be obvious because I mean, everybody in the story seems to think that it's something else
Yeah, but
or
it's
someone else. And Melisandre has made up her own sword at this point.
yeah, but it's. I mean, you have the long night coming, and then you have to use the sword of the morning to defeat it. That's very, very convenient. It's like
It-
you're naming the weapon you have to use. It's like
It
look at the
fit-
label. That's what it's used for.
It fits so well, though. I mean, I
Yes,
don't.
it does, and that's my problem with it. It fits too well.
So, do you think that it is an actual sword?
I think it's any sword that's used in a certain sacrifice with blood magic, and I think that is why what is going to happen to Caitlyn, to Lady Stoneheart.
Hmm.
I think Melisandre is going to do something, and John is going to stab her in the chest, sacrificing because she has a flame in her. You know, they said that Beric transferred the 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 flame of life or whatever they call it into
Mhm.
her. So stabs the sword in, sort of absorbs it somehow. Then you
And
have a sword of life, don't you?
but Longclaw could achieve that. You think?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
See, I always thought if it's not going to be Dawn being Lightbringer, then Heartsbane would be Lightbringer. That's an ancient Valerian steel sword that, but see, it's Valerian steel. I think that's Valerian steel is too young.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be enough.
Like you could argue that Heartsbane will stab the heart of winter, right?
There you go. Now,
Yeah.
something else is when they talk about the last hero wielding, you know, what he killed. I think it's the last hero story where he kills or ends the long night. He's using dragon steel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is pre again Valeria. What is dragon steel? Is that
Well, it sounds more like Valerian steel than Dawn.
right?
Right.
I thought what dragon steel is, and I saw a video once on it. I can't give credit to who it is, so I'm sorry, but they put they said if you take obsidian, which is a carbon-based material, with
Mhm.
steel, you can actually infuse steel with the obsidian. So maybe dragon steel was because they say obsidian is dragon fire, frozen
So like
dragon.
dragon glass?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
dragon
it's
glass,
steel
but it's
instead.
actually infused with steel.
Yeah, and well, someone pointed out the last hero to me because Nan talks about the last hero in
Right.
one of her stories to Bran, but they
Mhm.
get cut off. But
Exactly.
he was north of the wall. He was
Mhm.
part of the Night's Watch, right when the Night's Watch was founded. And him and his men were north of the wall, and they were chased by the others, the White Walkers,
Mhm.
because they wanted
Mhm.
to kill him. So
It was him, 12 companions, his dog and his horse, and he's the only one
yeah.
that survived.
And it's interesting actually that when you see that baby scene in the show,
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's 13 White Walkers.
Hmm.
So the last hero plus his 12
Oh,
companions.
snap.
Ooh.
I don't know, but
Wow.
personally I think the last hero is Cold Hands because he has an ancient Night's Watch armor,
Right.
and the Children of the Forest say they, and they're speaking about the others, killed him a long time ago. So I think they caught him, killed him, and he is what he is now.
Hmm.
Because he also speaks the old tongue,
Yes.
which was spoken during during the long night and all that.
Right.
Just my personal theory.
So I find that to be an interesting one because
Oh,
people always say he's only a couple 100 years old, but he might be way older than.
Adam Price has a cool point.
What did he say?
The last hero
Mm-hmm.
has 12 apostles because he had 12 followers,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
so and it is a Jesus kind of figure, isn't
The
it?
savior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can I wanted to say a quick hello to Culture Casino, my good buddy. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Great. I say he's the best voice on YouTube. And Thomas Williams. I think we're allowed to call them White Walkers. I don't think it's racist. Thank you guys for stopping in. Stig is blowing my mind with theories.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. You're killing people out there, Stig. You're killing people.
Like I said, they will bend the knee or I'll destroy them.
I like it. I like it. So let's see. Theories. What was the other theory I wanted to definitely bring up? Now, do you guys definitely think Shara Dayne is dead or alive?
Oh, I think she's alive.
I think she's alive, married to Howland Reed.
Yeah. Same. I just think it fits perfectly with the parallel stories that we often see throughout the books.
I love you.
And it makes sense.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Just saying goodbye to the kids. Hold on. Or good night.
Okay. Seeing her fall in love with Howland at Harrenhal and then running off together.
Yeah.
I mean, it would put
Yeah.
Ned in a position of protecting two relationships
Yeah,
and potentially two young children.
And that would mean why she was very careful because she was not embarrassed, but if it was known that she had a baby with a Crannogman,
Mm-hmm.
given how they were seen
Right.
as less than dirt.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, they kept it secret. And I think that conversation that happened in the tent,
Mm-hmm.
I think Ned had Howland Reed in there, so he could talk to Ashara out of sight.
Mm. Oh,
then
Thomas, I know, dude. I'm just playing with you. Sorry.
And then Howland Reed shagged the living daylights out of her in that tent.
Yeah, he showed her what a Cragman got, right?
Yeah, totally. That was a pun. Come on,
So,
totally.
I got you. I like to stress to anybody out there, and I think my two panelists will definitely agree. If you have not read the books, but like the beginning few seasons of Game of Thrones, you will love this book series.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's worth every penny, and also get the World of Ice and Fire book.
Yes,
but don't get that one in audio. Get the actual book.
Right.
Because
let me show
that
you.
one is worth. Well, it's I felt like I had a bargain when I bought it because it's that well done.
Mine
the
was
artwork and all of it.
Yeah, it's $60
perfect.
when I bought it. But you just have the history. You got these beautiful pictures. It's written by like a maester, so it's in a unreliable narrator type setup.
Actually, one of the writers is a Swedish lady, so it's definitely unreliable.
Right, she's the one with Ilio, right?
Yeah.
Linda Antonsen and Elio Garcia. They run Westeros.org, which we use a lot on my live stream, so I thank them for that. funny story that when they set up Westeros.org, that was actually supposed to be a game that they were trying to get going, and they asked George for his okay to use all his characters. So they made like a huge catalog of everything, every person, every place, every description. And that's why George goes back to them all the time when he's writing a book, because they know everything he said or written about somebody. So George will go back and be like, oh shoot, what's this person's eye color? And he'll go, are they blue? No, they're gray. Okay, they're gray. And these guys will help him out with that. So in thanks for that, he allowed them to write this book with him, which he's just a good human being, man. He's just a good human being. So yeah, read the book. I don't like audiobooks. I prefer to read them. This is one of the ones where I would say, if you haven't read it the first time, physically read it. Hold the pages in your hands. I just, something about reading these books, like when the next book comes out, I will get it in hardcover. And then once I'm done with it, maybe I'll go to audio to listen to it again to get, pick up on things. But there's something personal, I think, about reading. There's a connection with the author, that world, and you. I don't know. Here we go. At least Swedes can write. At Daynes are idiots. You guys and your racist attacks on each other. Thank God you're not Americans, because you'd be attacked. So there was a theory I wanted to hit with you guys real quick. If you have anything else about the Daynes or anything else, we can move on after.
They're like Targaryens and Blackfires.
Say that again.
The Swedes and Daynes.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Who was first?
Huh?
Who was first? Like were the Swedes or
I don't know.
Norwegians first? I don't know.
Norwegians first, absolutely.
This is great. All right. So where was that damn theory I was looking at?
I agree with you, Mason. Books belong in hands.
Yeah.
And books also decorate a living room very well. And bedrooms and hallways. And
Closets.
everywhere. And the guest room.
Corners.
Does anybody remember how long Ned stayed at Starfall?
Oh no, but that was the other thing that I wanted to mention too, was that he stayed there. So like after everything that he's accused of doing,
right,
he was there. Exactly. So
well,
clearly there's more going on here.
Right. And that's what I was going to bring up earlier when we're talking about Ned Dayne. He calls John his milk brother or his wet nurse brother, something like that, because
milk brother,
milk brother, because Wyla, who some people believe is Ned's real mother, they both used her as, for breast milk. So to me, that proves that John's not her daughter. She was used for that reason and that reason alone. John's a few years older than him. He's 4 years older than this kid. So if he's 3 to 4 years older, she would not still be producing if not for being that purpose as a help, lords by being a wet nurse. Like you would stop producing after a certain amount of time if your child is no longer breastfeeding. Right. So she actually, I don't know, how do they do medieval pumping to keep that going?
Ask Lysa Arryn.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a freak. She is a freak. Let's see what our fantastic chat is saying right now. Books belong in hands. Love that. I don't know. Roy Dotris. Oh yeah, Roy, who does the audiobooks. He did the first couple. He's passed away. He's a legend. Okay. And I don't want to speak ill about him, but I feel like it was done because he was a legend. Who I would like to see take over the reading of the audiobooks is the guy who played Viserys or Viserys.
Oh yeah.
He narrates a part in one of the extended, DVDs after a season. And I don't remember which one he's talking about. Valeria.
Lord.
Dude, he is so good. His voice is so calm. Like, I really think he would be an awesome replacement for a legend.
What does LMBO mean?
Laughing my butt off, I think. Ned
Oh.
did it for the Nookie, the Starfall Nookie. I like that. So does anybody in
Well,
the chat
I
have questions?
I
Go
can
ahead.
tell you why Norway is first. We discovered America sailing across the Atlantic in an open boat. We discovered South America because there's Viking settlements down there. We were the first to reach the South Pole, which is pretty damn far away.
Mhm.
And we kept Hitler from developing the atom bomb during World War II, which basically made him lose big time
How did you do that?
with an axe.
Nice. Nice.
They
What
also
did-
did come down to the coast of Africa as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think it was Nancy or V Star in the chat earlier said something about how in our world maps are only, a couple 100 years old, but don't forget about the Perry Reese map and those maps that somebody way before, 1500 created. We have been sailing the seas as long as man learned how to make. Yeah. I mean, they have the map of Antarctica. If you're able to look under the ice, that's insane. I mean, they literally have a map.
But it does seem like, and a lot of these stories tell of civilizations falling that people have now sort of forgotten about. And you almost feel like that happened with Earth. Like that there was a time when we were far more advanced and then something happened.
Oh, I definitely believe that. I believe in the last ice age, we were way more advanced than we thought. And I'm not saying we had cars and planes, but we had technology that we have no clue how to replicate. And when they try to, the problem with like dating the pyramids and things like that is we carbon date everything. Well, people have been living near the pyramids for thousands of years. You know what I mean? So that can't be reliable because after an ice age, after flooding, things get washed away and now new people settle there.
Right.
Want to know something weird? If you take all the land masses and push them together, all the continents and stuff, North and South Pole, all of it, the very center is where the pyramids are.
Yes.
Dead center.
Is the dead center of the land masses of the world.
Which is quite the coincidence,
right.
isn't it?
Right. There's so much about it. The different lengths of the base equal the days of the years and the diameter of the earth. I mean, there's so much that went into the building of that pyramid. And tell me what society after building a monument like that got worse and worse throughout the years at building the same exact structure. Like,
not only worse, but totally forgot about it. Like they didn't know who built it.
Right. But
what all of that stuff had to be discovered.
Right. But if that was built 3,500 years ago, which I doubt, and some people now are saying maybe it's 4,000 years ago or 3,500 BC, excuse me.
They found
then why
water,
like 100, 500 years later they built. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
They found watermarks on the lower stones of the pyramid that dates it way older. They're still debating it though.
And that's the thing, like we know from their writings of when they were building things, but we also know that, structures like this fall and are rebuilt.
Right.
So
but they only talk about maintenance. They never talk about the building of it. No one takes responsibility. Look,
where it came from, where the information came from.
Right. They all the pharaohs want to take credit for whatever happened in their reign. If it was good, no one takes credit for that. And the Sphinx has been said to be there. Look at the Sphinx enclosure that people were trying to say was sand erosion, but it definitely looks more like water erosion. And there are scientists that believe that. Shaw
that's a bit on the nose, isn't it?
But that could be very ancient. It's just, there's so much going on and they never found a body. There's no artwork inside of it. There's something different than what the Egyptians of the old dynasty were doing. That's all I'm saying.
And it was a much wetter period. I mean, who knows what all was going on there or what they had contact with or what information they were exchanging. But I definitely think it's no coincidence too that a lot of these things were built during the same time period around the world.
Right.
it was an era of this massive building of these constructions.
And they
I,
all
And then it
I,
stopped.
they all resembled each other, which is crazy. Go ahead.
I bet you that they're going to demand that triangles be banned in the United States now, because the pyramids were built by slaves, both white and black slaves.
Right. But they were
actually.
slaves.
Well,
Yeah,
they weren't
so-
slaves. They weren't all slaves because
Most
some
of them were
had strikes.
indentured. Yeah, most of them were indentured or not indentured servants, but
paid.
they were paid craftsmen. At least that's the story they give us. Again, we still don't know how they made that pyramid. So other pyramids, they may have worked on, but I'm not going political on a Monday night or a Wednesday night. All I'm saying is remember what your history is.
Stonehenge. And the those huge heads on Easter Island.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have these things all over the place.
And they're bringing stones from hundreds of miles away.
Yeah, those heads on Easter Island looks like Count Dooku in the Clone Wars show.
That you're absolutely right. And you know what, Count Dooku, the stones, they are so much bigger than they look. They go so deep, like they sunk. Like they're not just like shoulder up. They're like full bodies. They're huge. There's so much that we don't know about this world. Pre-last ice age or pre-last catastrophe, let's just say, towards the end of that last ice age, there was 400 miles worth of land. So if you were standing on the ocean right now, you would actually be 400 miles in on your wherever you are from where the last ice age ended, where the rising temperatures melted the ice caps really fast or comet hitting them, whatever you want to believe. But 400 miles of land. So where do most people live? They live on the coast.
Right.
Now, why aren't we searching the waters more? And yeah, go ahead.
Another point, if we look at the children of the forest and compare that to our world, you also had these sort of early humans, archaic humans that existed all over the planet that don't anymore.
Right. Yeah, you had different types of
Neanderthals
humanoids
and Denisovans and all of these things, and they're not here.
Right.
What happened? Or did we kill them all? I mean, how is that even possible?
Everyone has a myth about a flood.
Yeah, the Sumerians had a star map. That's before Egypt was a thing.
Right. On one of their pieces of artwork, it shows our whole solar system.
Yeah.
All the way out to Uranus. I love saying that.
Whoever drew that was such an ass.
Let me know in the chat if you ever wanted us to have maybe when we decide to do this every 2 weeks, like it was supposed to be, or every 3 weeks, maybe throw in once in a while a lost civilization stream, or kind of what people consider conspiracy-esque. I want to go more ancient than conspiracies of today, because too many people are snowflakes and sensitive. But let me know if you guys would actually watch that.
I mean, there are so many parallels to this story, and if you compare it to what Stig was saying about Ragnarok's theory, and you take the Christian or even just the mythology from Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, it all fits together as one big story.
Right.
Yeah, and
which is crazy.
Here's another weird thing. A hell of a lot of civilizations that never met each other, that were separated by the ocean for millennia, all have dragons in their myth.
Yes,
they do. But not only that, they have similar gods. I mean, if you look at the Norse gods and the Greek gods and even the Yoruba gods, it's the same people. Like, they have the same characteristics.
Yep.
No, the Norse gods are different. They're way better.
Oh, whatever.
But you guys have an actual point when you have different continents that supposedly, if you want to believe what they're saying, did not have communication, all have a flood myth, a destruction myth. Some say flood, some say ice, but they all have to do with
Mhm.
There was a cataclysm. Something horrible happened. Mankind was brought almost to the brink of extinction, which DNA has proven. Scientists have proven that there's a small group of humans today that still have the ancient human DNA, because at one point they might have gotten down to under 10,000. And
Mhm.
then some even say it's much smaller than that. And then we grew again. So you're telling me if we got that happened, and it's happening, which I believe the Mayans were trying to tell us every cycle, mankind gets to a certain point and then gets knocked back. What's our certain point? Is it what we're in right now will be either a great awakening or a great ending? I don't know, but I find, I think Mason, thank you for stopping by, my brother, has it right. We should do our own type of exozone.
Thomas Williams is mentioning Ragnarok. If you look at Sporking's channel, we talk about myths and stuff in A Song of Ice and Fire. I recommend you look at that one.
Yeah, I want to say that was 2 weeks ago.
Something
We
like
did the
that.
Ragnarok. We did the Ragnarok stream.
Yeah, because that is what Game of Thrones is based on, in my opinion.
Right.
And I make a case for it.
A very good case.
Very good. That was a fun stream.
It's basically the same story.
Another monster. Love Graham Hancock. Love him. The dude is a genius. Yeah, please check that out, because it changed this story for me completely. I don't know about you guys, but when like we were pretty much speechless when Stig told us everything. There's just so much that it can't be a coincidence.
And that's the thing with the gods being so similar. I just don't know any other explanation besides that they were real. I mean, not necessarily gods, but they were something that were encountering different cultures around the planet, and they had their characteristics, and they educated people, I think, to achieve certain levels of technology and advancement.
Right. Well, if you see these people with that ability that look like you, but not exactly like you, and have all this technology, wouldn't you think they were gods?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it makes so much sense. Like I had one person tell me, reread the Bible, mostly the Old Testament, reread that and view it as an alien encounter. And when you reread it, so many of the stories fit spaceships landing, spaceships taking people places.
The aliens going to war with each other.
Right. Like God made angels and they slept with humans, like, okay, but no, if you think of it as aliens crossing their DNA with female humans and creating watchers and stuff like that, giants, it's very interesting, and it's fun to talk about. So maybe we will do that. Maybe we'll take a break next
Dragon
week.
riders. Only we don't have dragons anymore.
Oh, that would be dope. And a lot of people, dragons were in history because of comets. Yeah, maybe. And maybe there were species of animals we still have no recorded memory of. I mean,
who knows? Maybe some of those dinosaurs were dragons. They're just lying to us. It's a cover up.
Exactly. Or or you know what? Wings disappear.
Yeah.
Like
we did have flying dinosaurs.
Right.
A
lot of, yes, we did. Pterodactyl. I mean, look at that right there. Boom. Why couldn't there be some dragon species? I'm not saying it's spit fire, but what I'm saying is it's probably spit fire.
Right. It's possible. Why not? We don't know.
Another monster? What's that link for? Let me know. Yeah, so I don't know. And kind of bring it back to this. I do fall into the idea that either during the long night, which is ancient man in this world trying to explain to men of today what happened to them, a catastrophe happened and they all went underground. Yeah.
Idea. The comet hits, right? At Starfall.
Right.
And that's what caused the long night.
Oh, snap.
Crash, poof, sky is blotted out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they do. I mean, there are legends.
And they came to find it.
Right.
The source.
There are legends of the, having two moons, one cracked because of an impact. Who's to say that that wasn't part of like a moon meteorite. You know,
So
like,
maybe the White Walkers want something at Starfall. They can only reach it when there's a long night.
Wow.
mm-hmm.
Because it makes it cold enough, or
Yeah.
Yeah, because they bring the cold.
and that's where they're headed.
That's where they're headed, south. You know, and they got stopped, and you know the pact happened.
Winterfell thinks they have to keep them out, keep
Right.
them north.
Right, where winter fell. You know, Winterfell is where winter fell. It
And
fell
Starfall is
upon.
where the star fell.
Yep.
It's called Winterfell because it's a fell area.
What does that mean?
It means it's kind of like moors with forest and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel dumb now. I didn't know that.
Well,
You-
you fell for it.
I did. Oh. Are you being a shitter right now? Are you shitting
No,
me?
no,
I
no.
don't.
Oh,
all right.
It's fell is a type of area. All along.
Yeah, I agree with this, Thomas. With everyone carrying cameras, how come we only get blurry pictures of UFOs? You know, proof aliens don't exist. Well, okay. So I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but I mean, the American Air Force released unidentified flying objects that they can't explain. They released the footage and admitted to it. So to me, that tells us something. No other country on earth has technology that advanced. And we would be,
Awesome.
I'm not saying you're an idiot, but we would be idiots to believe that we're alone in this, even in this galaxy, I'll say. It's just too big. The math doesn't. Yeah.
Here's it's actually from Old Norse, but it's an English word. It's a high and barren landscape feature, such as mountain range or moor-covered hills.
Mm-hmm.
Which is exactly what. Yeah, and it's common in northern England and Scotland, which is basically what the North in Game of Thrones is based off.
So that's what a fell is.
Yeah, Winterfell.
I never knew that, man.
I'm gonna send you a link.
Yeah, please do.
It has pictures too. It's from Wikipedia.
What is toxic thing? And winter coming is the cloud of dust in the atmosphere as it circles. Oh, as it circles around the globe through the jet streams. You know,
that would explain why it's also in Essos.
Right. Right, because let's not forget there are way more than just the two stories of a last hero.
Mm-hmm.
You have the last hero, you have Azor Ahai, you have the prince that was promised. There's also different names of the Azor Ahai archetype in different places in Essos. So yeah, man, it could be. See, that's what I keep thinking. Like he was. Hold on one sec. Let me just get this out because I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna say this. He was a sci-fi writer for a very long time. Why not, being the troll that he is, create the greatest fantasy writing next to Tolkien, and it's actually a sci-fi series? You know?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of it being a sci-fi series? What do you think, Stig?
I think there might be sci-fi in it, but I don't think it will be
let me put it this way. Could it be post-apocalyptic?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can definitely buy that.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Buy that.
I think the story is you have so many like unanswered, like they were able once again, that's why I brought it up before. A civilization that was able to create things like the Wall, things like Storm's End, things like the High Tower, yet they can't really probably do that right now in the story. You know, these just architectural gems, the five forts, all these.
Well, they're the things that everything Bran the Builder built.
Right. They give him credit for Bran the Builder.
Yeah.
Right.
Was infused with magic to some degree.
Yeah.
Look at the picture you just saw. That looks like the Winterfell area, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
At least how they explain it. It's a Swedish area. I don't know. Hey, Culture Casino, you still in the chat? Just shoot a yes, you are, because I have a funny question for you. Actually, I'll DM you later. So I don't know. You guys have anything else? Any topic when it comes to A Song of Ice and Fire, or at this moment, you know, different ancient civilizations. What's up, Bad Bunny?
I think it's no coincidence. If you do believe that Ashara and Arthur are dead, that they're both stars that fell.
Also, and this is just a stretch, but Arthur Daynes said, "We don't kneel easily." Right?
Right. We
Right?
don't. Yeah, we
That
don't.
means, it means they do kneel, but not easily. So they could have
Right.
knelt,
Mhm.
gone away, given Ned
If
the sword.
convinced, yeah.
Don't
I don't
forget.
know.
Don't forget what he says. My father always told me, if not for Howland Reed, but it's the way he says it. Like, I wouldn't, Arthur Dayne would have killed me, but he doesn't say without him, without
Yeah.
him killing or helping me kill him, or, so I almost feel like there was a conversation like, look, there's only 3 of us left. Let's talk this out. All I want is my sister. I want to make sure she's okay.
Here's the thought, though. Ned delivers the sword to Sunspear, right?
Mhm.
And he's an honorable fellow and all that. Why the hell didn't he deliver the corpse so they could bury him?
Because there isn't one.
Exactly.
Arthur
Dayne is dead, I think.
And maybe, wait a minute, just maybe that's the reason he doesn't return the bones of his own men, because Arthur Dayne, if he brought back, if Arthur Dayne was dead, he brought the sword, brought the bones, then he has no reason not to bring the bones and everything back to his own guys. But why not bring his own guys' bones back? Like, that's a huge thing in the North. And why tear down the tower? You know what I mean? Like,
But what would their purpose serve at this point, though? He has John. So where are the others gone?
Well, who are they in our story? How many people have we met that, are somebody else actually? Look at Barristan Selmy.
You're right.
Barristan Selmy pretended to be somebody else. The Sand Snake in the Citadel is pretending to be somebody else. Who's to say he didn't go to Essos and he's part of he's the Tattered Prince? You never know. Like, I don't know.
Everybody's underground.
That's another thing. There's tunnels everywhere. The children talk about it, but there's tunnels under every single major castle. What about Starfall? Maybe they have like a ancient tunnel line going somewhere. I don't know. I'm just now throwing stuff out, but there's so much that could have happened. Why did they fight? You tell me that. Why did Arthur Dayne, who knows Ned Stark, knows he's an honorable guy, knows that his king and his prince are dead, knows that all Ned wants to do is make sure his sister's all right. The only excuse people ever give me is, because Ned would kill his nephew because, Robert commanded it. Bullshit.
No. I think you're right. I think when he said that they don't kneel easily, that was an invitation for them to make their pitch.
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
What is your plan then? What are you here for? What are you trying to do? What do you need us to do? And if they were convincing enough, then you're right. They could all be in disguise in different places to protect John.
Right. Now, there are a lot of theories about that. One of the theories is that Manslater...
Actually, it says Eddard pulled stones from the tower to make 8 cairns for the dead combatants.
So say that one more time.
It says after the fight, right? Eddard Stark pulled stones from the tower to make 8 cairns for the dead combatants. So he did bury them, but it's still weird that he didn't return Arthur too.
Right. And
Unspare if it was going there anyway.
but why would he bury his, like, it's not like they're bringing the body. They boil them. They pretty much get all that off them, all the skin, muscle, everything, and just return bones. So why the hell didn't he do that for his own bannermen that came with him and died in the South? Why would he leave them there?
It
That's
doesn't
like
make any sense.
it's disrespectful to the people of the North to bury them in the South.
Well, he could have been in a hurry because he had a baby who needed a wet nurse.
Well, then he wouldn't have had time to do it
Yeah.
because the child
Which-
still has to eat. Then,
Yeah,
like that day,
Maybe
Yeah.
all
you know-
that day, he had to go somewhere else right then.
Yeah, and what happened to Wyla? Because she was pretty much a handmaiden to Ashara Dayne, wasn't she? And
Hmm.
Right.
and
Some
both
people
of them
believe she
knew
was there.
Lyanna. So maybe she was there with Lyanna, and she was breastfeeding the kid.
Right.
Because nobody knows what happened to Wyla, but we know who she was friends with.
So
Hmm.
let me just, all right. So this is the quote. The finest, this is Eddard Stark to Bran Stark. The finest knight I ever saw was Sir Arthur Dayne, who fought with a blade called Dawn, forged from the heart of a fallen star. They called him the Sword of the Morning, and he would have killed me, but for Howland Reed. That's all he said, but for Howland Reed. So what did Howland, I can never say his freaking name. What did H Star do? Did he kill Arthur Dayne? Did he, did he talk to Arthur Dayne? Like, we don't know exactly what happened. And you're right about the invitation. Like, we do not easily kneel, but that's not saying they don't ever kneel. I like that. I think maybe right off the rip, they might have battled a bit, but when it came down to the last guys, how Arthur Dayne, everyone knows Ned's honorable. Why would they fight him if he just wanted to make sure his sister was okay? That's the part I just don't get. And don't give me because Robert was his new king and friend and he'd kill his own nephew for him. No,
No
I
way.
don't believe it. I don't believe it.
And he says that she
here's
was
something.
calling for him. I mean, she was
Right.
calling for him, so that means that
She
the
wanted him.
others would have heard her calling for him. And what are they going to do? Ignore her?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well,
They
it
couldn't.
says here that
Right.
Wyla was a wet nurse to Edric Dayne, who believes
Right.
her to be the mother of Jon Snow. That's weird that someone all the way down there thinks that. It's almost like it's a story they
That's what I'm
decided to tell
saying. Yeah.
everyone as a backup story.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like they put out that story to protect Ned's secret. And you're right.
And-
Arthur Dayne says, Arthur to Eddard Stark, our knees do not bend easily. I always forget the easily part. That's a really good point. It's not saying, and now it begins. No, now it ends. I can't see why they would, and some people say, well, because Rhaegar said, defend her, my son or prince. We don't even know if that's the true reason she's down there. I understand that's probably going to be it, but we don't. But
Book
go ahead.
3. In book 3, Edric Dayne tells Arya about Wyla, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Arya knows that Jon doesn't know anything about his mother, but she swears that he's telling the truth, and she decides to remember the name so she can tell Jon when they meet again.
Okay, say that one more time.
Edric Dayne tells Arya that Jon's mother, who was a servant of his house,
Right.
she was named Wyla.
Right.
She was also Edric's wet nurse.
Right.
And he tells Arya this, and he swears on his house that he's telling the truth.
Right.
And Arya decides to remember the name Wyla so she can tell Jon when they meet again.
Oh.
That's
So
from book 3.
Right. So spreading that fake news, keep it going. So now John may think his mom is this Wyla. I mean, the only person that could tell him the truth, legit tell him the truth, is Howland Reed. Bran can say, "Hey, the trees told me a story," and yeah,
Or
like you can't prove
Howland Reed and Ashara Dayne
together.
can tell John, and they can point out that there's evidence in the Winterfell crypt.
Right. Yeah, the crypts have to come into this.
Yeah.
If you
they would
go
know.
ahead. Right. I feel like the last hero was a Stark. The sword was Dawn. And instead of keeping them together so that if they were attacked by the others again, they could just destroy them right off the rip and they're done, they separated them. And that's why this maybe First Men group is so far south, and there always has to be a Stark up north in Winterfell.
Yeah, and isn't it strange that we get this backstory with Ashara Dayne and all that, and it has created a strong link between Starfall and Winterfell. That's a long distance, yet they have a past.
Right. They have a connection.
Clearly affecting the future.
Yes.
And
right.
actually, like you said, Scott, that a lot of those old timers, right, tend to go underground and take new identities and stuff.
Right.
Barristan did it. Connington did it.
Right.
Maybe Benjen did.
Even some of the younger, one of the Sand Snakes is pretending to be, a male maester. Tyrion is Mr. Underhill. He's not Tyrion. A lot of people. Varys is always in disguises. So who's to say that they're not?
And where would Benjen be to be completely safe if he went south of the wall? The Reeds. Nobody goes there.
Right. No one goes there. It's said that Greywater Watch moves. That there's magic. They use, Children of the Forest type magic, and it's hard to find because it actually moves in the marsh, which is kind of interesting. Stig, what is that? Starbart Fast signature deep inside a glacier in ancient Norway?
I think they found someone had written their names or something in a glacier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which means the glacier probably formed later.
That's interesting. 39 possible civilizations in our own galaxy. Wow, that's crazy. So yes, sub to Jayne. Come on, people. Let's see. Anybody have anything good here? Definitely sub to Culture Casino. We love. Oh, he's only 12 away from 200. Come on, guys. If you haven't subbed to Culture, he has one of the best voices in the game. I seriously believe that. I don't know how he does it. He sounds so like, I don't know. He just really sounds good. Like I wish I had that voice. He could be the hooded man. Yeah, he could be the hooded man inside Winterfell that Theon keeps seeing. Arthur Dayne. Never know.
What do you think's going to happen with Geralt?
I think he's a tool for George to get Dawn out of Starfall and north. Now, will it get it out of Starfall and then we'll find out actually the Lord of Starfall? We finally figure out who that is. Does he get it far enough north where, see, that's the problem where he didn't do the 12-year jump. I really would love that Ned Dayne was the one that wielded it. But, where is he going to go with it? He wants to get Dawn and go defend and he wants to take over, what's his name storyline, Sir Arthur Daynes. So what he wants to do is get Dawn and go, bow to Fagon. He wants to replay that history.
Right.
And wouldn't you, if you were Aegon Targaryen, want someone wielding Dawn? That'll just even strengthen your claim even more.
And that's another interesting point about them always being loyal to the Dragon Kings. That's unique.
Right. I mean, their friendship was solid. I mean, look, he he fought. I still can't get over it. He fought Ned Stark only because he wanted to see his sister and make sure she was all right. It makes no sense.
None.
And we see it in a fever dream too. So we can't even take that as a reliable recount of exactly what happened.
Especially the end, the fight part. Everything leading up to that doesn't necessarily suggest that there has to be a fight.
Right.
And then there's the part, I forget the exact conversation, but the now it begins thing.
Mm-hmm. And now it begins. No,
that seems like a
now it
false
ends.
memory.
Right. Which it could easily be. It's again, he's dying from a fever. He's 100 to 105, 104, whatever it is. He's having a crazy dreams. How are we supposed to take that seriously?
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts.
But if this gets to Aegon, that's gonna make it that much harder for Dany.
Well, look at what Aegon could do. This is what I've been thinking about. Darkstar becomes part of his Kingsguard. We think he has taken over Storm's End.
Mm-hmm.
There's one person in the story, and it's not Gendry, that Robert has admitted to being his son, that people love in the Stormlands, and that's Edric Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So you, as the king, because that's what he believes he is, the king of Westeros, he legitimizes him as a Baratheon. So now he's replaying the whole, Aegon the Conqueror. He has the Baratheon backing him from the Stormlands. He has the Sword of the Morning, backing him, kind of replaying his Rhaegar, his father's thing. He could easily make everyone look at him and see
Mm-hmm.
the perfect Targaryen with the perfect amount of support.
Wow.
And I really do need to find out what the hell their words are. They're, you got the Stormland, whatever is our fury. You got winter is coming. You have, like so many cool ones, but yet we're not told. We are not told what theirs is. I find that interesting.
I can't wait.
Is Darkstar a lord of something? I want to say they call him Lord Darkstar, but I think he's just a knight, right?
No, they call him Sir.
Okay.
Because he's noble enough to be a Sir. That's what they said.
Yes, he's probably just somebody's kid.
Mm-hmm. Probably. And he seems just a bitter emo kid.
Here's when Jojen and Mira right, arrives at Winterfell, and they swear allegiance basically to Bran. And they say, "I swear it by the earth and water. I swear it by bronze and iron, and then we swear it by ice and fire." Like ice and fire. It's almost like they added that one.
Wow.
Right. Where does so you're saying they do it, the fealty thing, and then they say, and we swear, meaning like we're adding this one in.
No, it says ice. Jojen says, "I swear it by earth and water." Mira says, "I swear it by bronze and iron." And then they both say, "We swear it by ice and fire." It's odd that they have ice and fire in the Song of Ice and Fire.
Wow. Yeah.
Because they're the only one who swears by the title of the book.
Right.
And
well, they know more than I think they, definitely Jojen knows more than he lets on. He only gives information he needs to give.
Right.
Because Ashara Dayne, if that's the mom, might have told him about Jon.
Well, now let's see. Is Ashara Dayne, is Dany their daughter? Which I doubt. Everyone wants to put Dany into that line.
I don't think so.
No, exactly. I mean, people remember her mom having birth to her.
Yeah, she's Mira and Jojen's.
But I do like I don't know about Jojen, but I like the mirror one.
Yeah, but
or even Jon.
If Howland Reed took Ashara Dayne to his to House Reed, and she's been hiding there all along. And Arthur Dayne and Rhaegar and all the others were obsessed with the prince that was promised,
Mm-hmm.
and they tried to make one with Lyanna and Rhaegar's baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if she was part of that cult, basically,
Wow.
she would be swearing by ice and fire,
Dang.
because
Well,
that's Stark and Targaryen, and she might
don't
have told that to the kids.
right.
And she's well, if we go by Ashara Dayne being there, being true, that will also explain why Mira Reed is the heir to House Reed, even
Mm-hmm.
though it should be Jojen if they went by any other house on that hemisphere, really.
Really north
I
of
think that's the
north of
strongest point. Yeah.
Yeah, so
that.
it's weird that they have that culture and they swear to ice and fire, which Shara Dane seemed to be about, because she was Lyanna and Rhaegar's friends, and they were like a tight knit group.
Mm-hmm.
So their mother
So
taught them.
Well, there
yeah,
was I mean, people always think, oh, the pact between the first men and the children was the big pact. But don't forget, there was also a pact between the Starks and the Targaryens. And it was right at the end of the Dance of the Dragons. They call it the Hour of the Wolf, when Cregan Stark came down and took on being the Hand of the King for a
Mm-hmm.
short period where people thought maybe he would try to take over. So he comes down there and he's the Hand of the King for, who the hell is it? It's not Rhaenyra Targaryen. It's one of the kids. I think maybe young Aegon. But he comes down there and it's like 130 something AC. He comes down. He has an army. He meets. I forget. No matter what, he pretty much lays down the law. He gets rid of everyone that needs to be get rid of. King Aegon II. He, makes sure that he's protected, he's safe, and then he leaves with the promise that the Targaryens and the Starks will have a marriage pact, which was
Mm-hmm.
the pact of ice and fire. So we're still waiting on that.
you know how George likes to play with names that
Mhm.
they take. When they're undercover, they take names that sounds like themselves and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Like who? Let me really quick say, what up, Darren? Good to see you, man. All right, go ahead.
Well, I saw some examples about it, but I forgot what they were and didn't take note. But Lyanna, right?
Mm-hmm.
Howland Reed's wife is named Gianna with a J instead of an L. Same name, J for John, maybe instead.
Hmm.
It's very similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
It's Jyana.
So now you
So
think that Ashara, uses
took a
that
new name.
name to
Yeah, because she
kind
if
of
she
show
wants to be hidden,
respect.
if she wants to be hidden and she's married to Howland Reed,
Right.
she's not going to call herself Ashara Reed.
Right. Of course. But
That's
you
the
think she
Danish
did
name.
that to show John's mother respect, Alana
Yeah.
or Lyanna
Her,
respect.
her best friend.
Yeah.
And naming herself after her is, in a way, a parallel to their naming Edric after Ned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
she added a J for John.
Woo!
Yeah, I like that one. Adam Price says from Wiki Ice of Fire, at Shady Stone, Ariana admits to her conspirators that the only included Darkstar for his fighting prowess and his keep, High Hermitage. Oh, so he is a Lord of High Hermitage. Okay. I did not know that. Thank you. And he is supposed to be, no matter how much of an emo brat he is, a great fighter. So
he is. But I think he probably would be the one to wield it at this point.
They
That's the only thing they need.
Mans uses one of those names. Bale the Bard and Abel.
Right. he
Yeah.
uses Abel. You're right.
Yeah,
That's
that was one of those I couldn't remember.
Yep.
So
I mean, you're right about people using like a name in a little bit of a disguise. You
yeah, they
know,
just move the letters around, and I'm thinking Liana, Gianna.
yep. I would like to see Ashara still alive. I think again, I'm still finding it really hard to believe there was even a fight at the Tower of Joy. And then for her to have Ned Stark stay at their family home for quite a bit.
Right.
And then when he leaves, then she throws herself off, a cliff.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
that'd
make
be
any
fun.
sense. It doesn't make any sense, even if she didn't, like, that you would allow this person to live with you who just killed your greatest knight and the representative of your house.
Yeah, and if she threw herself from a tower, right? How would people know that if there wasn't any body?
Right.
And if people saw it happen, how did they know it was really her?
Right. No, that's a valid point. Like, are they just assume that she jumped?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Like
That makes
she-
sense.
Or maybe she jumped and she didn't drown.
Right. I really thought when I was reading the Aegon portion when he was young Griff, I thought the Septa was her for the longest time. And then, with Tyrion would have pointed out beautiful violet eyes. That's something he would have noticed.
Isn't it odd that Tyrion has one purple eye though?
Yes.
Could be a Dane, which means he's eligible for Dawn.
Can you imagine that?
Tyrion riding a dragon, wielding the Dawn sword.
He is the last hero. He is Azor Ahai. That would be so dope. I would love that. All right. Let's see here. I think we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. I mean, the funny thing is the three of us can just sit here and talk about this stuff for like hours.
I would have loved to have seen that sword in the show.
Oh man. Well, I guess that's the copy of the sword in the show. That looks like the one from the show.
Yeah,
well, it looks like the one in the show, but doesn't look like the one in the book.
Right. The one in the book has that.
Because the one in the show looks like a regular sword.
It does. And also he's wielding two swords. First of all, Dawn is supposed to be he was wielding two swords, but in the book, Dawn is a great sword. That thing is huge.
Yeah,
so how are you wielding,
It's like Ned Stark's sword. It's a big two-handed thing.
Right. It's a monstrous sword that that's what's another amazing thing about them is if you're able to wield that in battle, like ice isn't used in battle.
Mm-hmm.
Ice is more ceremonial now. But can you imagine using a greatsword Dawn in battle? But because of the, composition, the weight, the dimensions, it's so much faster to use. You would destroy people. They would never be able to get in your reach.
And the thing was beautiful. I mean, the milky white like glass. I mean, it's just, that would have been amazing to see.
It's like opposite, isn't it? The opposite of Valyrian steel.
It actually is.
Another monster is right. Wielding two swords is dumb. If you're wielding two long swords,
right?
Because the balance would be messed up. It's like holding two broomsticks, right?
Well, in this
try
case,
and make that. But if you have two short swords, it's okay because the length is shorter.
Well,
but two big ones, nah.
But the balance would have been off anyway because this sword was a different weight from normal swords.
Yeah, that too. But the length, you're basically controlling two broomsticks, one in each hand, right? And you can just imagine doing that. It would be all weird. Especially when blades are heavy, you're swinging them, and wouldn't work. But you could do it with two short swords.
So then that raises the other question of whether that memory was real.
Right.
It was still a fever dream.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't take a dream as, this is definitely what happened. He's seeing them as like ghosts.
Yeah.
and he's, I don't know. I take that with a grain of salt, the whole fever dream thing.
I really wanted to see that sword.
I know. I wanted them to do it right.
Yeah.
And they
I
just,
want to get a replica and then make it sharp, and then have someone try to break into my home so I can use it.
Well, the thing is, they said that even the flat side cut
Right.
sharply.
and held its blade. And
Like,
think about
that's
it.
amazing.
That
Like I
sword
said,
is
it's a
like
lightsaber.
1,000.
Yeah, it's a
got my sword.
lightsaber.
I got my sword.
I have a replica sword too.
Mine's Sting.
Hmm.
It's freaking sharp though. I'll give you
It's-
that.
Did you
It's
sharpen it or
more
did
of
you
a-
buy it like
no,
that?
it came like that.
It's more of a letter opener, really.
It pretty much is, but that toothpick will bloody you.
Oh yeah.
But another thing is, this sword is so ancient. To keep that sword, like if you just had a normal sword that was thousands of years old, if you didn't keep that thing polished and manicured and this and that, it would just deteriorate.
Mm-hmm.
It would rust
One-
out. Even sharpening it would ruin it after a while. It would,
Well-
after thousands of years of sharpening.
Want to know some trivia
Go
about
ahead.
Sting?
Yeah,
I have some obscure trivia about Sting.
please.
Tolkien was a student of history and warfare and weaponry and all that.
Hmm.
Back in, I think it was the 1400s, in the city of Bilbao in Spain, they had a characteristic short sword that looks exactly like Sting. And for as slang, I think they called it the Bilbo sword.
Really?
Bilbo sword. So that's where Bilbo got his name, because he
Oh,
gets that
no
sword
way.
in the Hobbit.
I did not know that. That's freaking cool. And rest in peace. We just lost. Who were we talking about earlier? Well, we lost Bilbo, but who else
Ian
died?
Holm. Joel
Joel Schumacher. Yeah, Joel
Mhm.
Schumacher. Involved with many, many great movies.
including Batman and Robin, right?
Toxic Flu. Yeah, Toxic Flu said, "What if the Mad King wasn't mad, but everyone else around him was mad, and the entire book is dream Ned had after drinking too much?" Well, one thing I do like is the beginning of your sentence. What happens if the Mad King wasn't mad?
I don't think he was. I think
I
there was
think he-
voices in his head.
There was look, Bloodraven has abilities to enter your dreams. He probably has more than just that.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to have driven Euron kind of crazy, because I believe Euron was visited by Bloodraven and just didn't pass the test.
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say he wasn't whispering to the king, because he's, burn them all.
Because he wasn't always crazy. That happened, much later. And he may have been thinking about, even when he was saying burn them, maybe he was thinking about a vision that he was given.
Right. He also, yes, there are some Targaryens down the line that have gone nuts.
But
But he's the only one that came on late. It came on late in his life.
there might be Starks who have gone mad too. We don't know. I mean, if you look at it, any family, there's a nutcase somewhere down the line.
Mm-hmm. So Adam Price is saying apparently Darkstar is House Dayne of High Hermitage, which is not House Dayne, but Bannerman of House Dayne. I'm
sort of like
pretty
Karstark.
sure- Well, he's pretty, like the Karstarks, but
But he's a Dane.
He is a Dane.
Yeah.
So it's not like the Karstarks. The Karstarks is an offshoot of the Starks.
But they're Starks. They just changed their name. They
Right,
descend from a Stark male.
Someone was given a house, right?
I think it's very odd though that Bloodraven gets sent north, right? And then Aemon goes with him, even though he was next in line for the throne. Yet he goes to the Night's Watch with Bloodraven.
No, he's saying it's a cadet branch of Dane of Starfall. So it is you're right. You're right. They kept the name Dane, unlike the Karstarks, who just changed it a little bit. But it's just like what will happen when Bran gets his own, homestead, his own castle.
Right.
Yes, Robb would be the Lord of Winterfell, but Bran would be, the Lord of, let's just say, I don't know, Bear Island.
Mhm.
So it is still
And
a
then may become
Dane.
the
I
Bear
didn't know that
Starks.
though. I didn't know he was a knight of the High Hermitage.
It makes sense though that the different
Yeah,
lords
the
would get
Bear
their own
Starks.
house.
Right. So, Knight of High Hermitage is the title held by the head of House Dane of High Hermitage, a cadet branch of House. Okay, so yeah, cool. So he is actually the head of his house. Wow, for a guy who's like the head of his house, a Dane, kick ass with a sword. What a bitch! Look at him too. He just looks like.
But I mean, I
What's
think
her
it
name
goes
says he's
back.
good looking, but this picture does not do him justice.
He's probably good looking in the real life of the world. But I think it goes back to what I
Right.
was saying too about how having it in such a way, a tradition that only the person who's worthy of it can wield it. I think it creates this competition in the family for someone to rise to that. And he thinks he has.
Right.
And with that would come a little bit of arrogance,
No,
if you
that makes
think you're the
sense.
best. And they do produce the best.
Well,
Right.
I'm the
And
best,
to
but
think,
I'm not arrogant about it.
well, you have a valid point. If you think you're the best out of your family, but you're not getting the respect that you deserve,
Mm-hmm.
it might make you a little upset, might give you a little, but he's also a little sadistic. He's a little aggressive. He's not what we expect. Now we see Arthur Dane.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I feel like they're the archetype. The memories of them are not true, no matter whose
Right.
memory it is. They're always glorifying these people. What if he's more like this kid?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying exactly, but in reality, was Arthur Dane a little bit more prickish? And that's why he fought Ned.
Well, I think you do see these historical figures being romanticized.
Mm-hmm.
Lyanna, we see it with her too. She was a much different person from how Robert remembers her.
Right.
And in this case, I think you have to be a little bit, I don't think he was the perfect knight. He was probably a bit full of himself, but he was the greatest knight. So he would be.
Right.
It makes sense.
It does. Right. To say,
Well,
yeah.
arrogance isn't always the thing, because there's something called confidence as well,
Mm-hmm.
which falls short of arrogance, really. And if you know, he had won every tourney, hadn't he? Arthur Dane, he was known for that.
I believe so.
So it's not wrong if he says he's the best. He's proved
No,
it.
he was the best. He was.
Stig, did I screw that up? Is Sting Frodo's sword? That was given.
No, it's Bilbo's sword, but Bilbo gives it to Frodo.
Bilbo gives him the sword. He gives him the chainmail. The what is that stuff called from the dwarfs? The
Mithril.
Mithril, and he gives him the ring.
Yeah.
Well,
Frodo hardly ever uses Sting. I mean, Sam uses it to kill the spider.
Right.
Frodo is just useless. He's just carrying a ring.
Oh God.
That's true. I hate Frodo.
Frodo's a twat.
He is.
He's
gets
doing the most
all the way
difficult job
there,
of all.
The one who should have carried
has the
the
most
ring.
difficult job. Don't get me wrong.
Nah, the one who should have carried the ring is Gimli,
Wait, why?
because he's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, Gimli's awesome, but he would have been terrible with that ring.
Oh yeah.
Gimli actually outkilled Legolas at the Helm's Deep battle. That's in the book.
Yeah.
He had one or two more kills, and Legolas had a bow, so he could kill from afar early on.
Right.
Gimli did it hands on, face to face. So that's awesome. I think he killed like 40.
Yeah, no, that you're right about that. I forgot that in Helm's Deep he killed more.
Yeah.
What we should do, Token, after this. We should definitely do a stream when we replace this, if we do.
I just did one.
This goes into the knowledge.
I just did one on Saturday.
Did you really?
On Mara's channel.
Oh, nice. I would love to do one. I would have to reread those books though. So I got nothing else that I could think of, guys. What about you?
I think we covered Just about everything.
Yeah.
I love this family. I love the house. I love their
Yeah.
history.
Same here.
I
Well,
still
then last question. Oh, go ahead.
I
Steve.
firmly believe Ashara Dane is next to Howland Reed because they keep bringing up Howland Reed, and
Mm-hmm.
Ashara Dane gets mentioned now and again too.
Mm-hmm.
And George Martin never mentions anyone needlessly.
So this is my question. And for the chat, you can answer this too. How important is House Dane to the outcome of the story, excluding Dawn as a sword? Anything else with the Danes important other than the
Excluding
sword?
the sword.
Except for the sword, because we all feel like the sword has something to do with the fight for Dawn, the morning. But except for that, sword getting to maybe John or Danny or even somebody else, will the Danes something else happen with the Danes that's important? Because he built them up so big in the first book, and even when he right before that, the idea of the time jump went out the window, he was
Mm-hmm.
setting them up present day. And then the time jump happened and we have Dark Star, and that's pretty much it. We haven't seen Edric Stark in a while. So will they be important at all? Because I always thought they were after I read the first book.
I think that their role is to protect the sword. So I
Mhm.
don't think they will have a role beyond that.
That's it. What do you think,
Yeah.
Stig?
I think, like you said, I think Darkstar might be the vessel to carry the sword north by stealing it. But I do think Ashara Dane is important. I think she's alive. She's with the Kranich men.
Mm-hmm.
Because from the stuff I read today, it was yeah, they convinced me. It fits.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. See what we've done here? This is great.
I am not taking credit for that theory though, because I read it somewhere else.
Right.
I'm
And,
just a messenger.
half the times we bring up theories, I sometimes think, oh, wait a minute. I thought of a new theory. It was probably already thought up. These books have been out for a long time. I
Yeah,
have
it's
to
all
tell
been discussed.
right, really, it has. I like to tell
Well,
Adam Price and Thomas real quick. My wife has just finished the English Office and is watching for the first time the American Office. She loved the English Office and she's just starting to like the American. So it's funny you guys brought that up. All right, go ahead. What were you going to say, Stig?
oh yeah, I was gonna say, if you come up with a theory and it has been thought up before, but you never read it,
Mm-hmm.
you never knew about the theory before, I'd say it's your theory. 'Cause you
Okay.
came up with it yourself without, reading, a theory someone else came
Right.
up with, right?
Like I've never heard anybody talk about the separation of two of the weapons, a Stark and the sword. That's why they're so far south. That's why the Stark has to be in Winterfell.
Hmm.
Or the idea that Danny being a fire white, which you thought of, being the Nissa character and stabbing her with Dawn, taking that fire out of her and creating Lightbringer now. Yeah, I
I
think
don't,
that
I,
would be interesting.
I don't think I said he would do it to Danny.
No, I did. You said Danny being a fire white, and I took that
Yeah,
and
yeah.
changed her.
I'm feeling very confident about that one though,
Hmm.
because George said the fire thing was a one-time thing,
Good
which
night,
means
Thomas.
she's not resistant to fire, which means she should have been dead
Mhm.
without someone intervening.
Right.
But where we are right now is everything is poised to come to where it needs to be.
Right.
So she's poised to come to Westeros. The sword is poised eventually to end up with Jon as soon as Darkstar gets over there and snatches it off the wall.
Hmm.
Um, it's everything is moving.
I mean, will it end with John or her? Because if he's going to take this, if he's going to try to be the next, Sir Arthur Dane and goes and swears his sword to Fagon, then who's not to say that Danny gets the sword first? before John, if he ever comes back,
Ooh,
gets that far south.
She
that would
gives
be a
it to Sir,
twist.
gives it
Right?
to Sir Barristan.
That's a good one. We'll have to think about that. What would you guys like to talk about next week? Feel free to leave comments in the comment section or
We're
send me chat. What do you think? What are you two thinking about?
we're
'Cause
starting
Dayne
to
has a
run
great
out of
idea.
we're starting to run out of topics
See,
actually.
I don't feel that. I know I feel like we've barely touched the surface of a lot of topics.
Well, have we talked about House Tyrell?
I was just thinking that no. There's definitely theories with them. We could just talk about the Reach in general. That
Yeah, and what about the sparrows,
oh yeah.
the High Sparrow? There's a
That's-
theory that that is Howland Reed.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Really? I
Yep.
have not heard that one.
He's
Yeah, that's a
gone
good
south to sow discord. I don't believe that, but
no, but it's a cool idea. It's definitely
yeah.
a cool idea. But yeah, I kind of like that one, the sparrows. I mean, that dude he has a plan. He definitely has a plan.
What
All
about
right, well,
the warlocks?
warlocks. We could talk about religion and we could talk about religion. To me, warlocks fall under religion.
Actually, we could just do a full blown religion talk.
Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. We'll do.
Then we'll have
Stig says we're running out of ideas, then comes up with multiple
I
ideas.
know you're the only one saying ideas. That's the best part. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate you saying that. We really do love doing this show for you guys.
It's so much fun.
It seriously is my favorite. The favorite 2 nights of doing any of this stuff is mostly. I don't know. See, I change my mind every stream. The Wednesday or Monday I'm on. I love doing this one because we get to just talk. But
Mhm.
it's fun on Wednesday night trying not to use spoilers. So if you
Right.
guys, if everybody in the chat seems like you've been following us, but if you're watching this later, we do a Wednesday night, 7:15 Eastern PM, and we are rereading Game of Thrones, and we're going to go through all the books. But right now, we're going chapter by chapter, about 4 or 5 at a time, and we try not to spoil anything past the book Game of Thrones. And even really, we're trying not to spoil anything after the chapter we're talking about, which
Yeah.
has been a lot of fun to try to do.
and it pays off because if we're constantly spoiling, we will skip important bits from that chapter because we know where it's going. But if we're going by as if we're reading it for the first time, then we'll be extra attentive to
Mhm.
what's in the chapter, right? And that stuff will pay off later when the foreshadowing from this and that chapter happens.
Right.
So you go back, oh yeah, it's this and that, and then we'll have an extra understanding of it too.
Oh yeah. I mean, us
But
just talking about it, man. Stig, I've brought up topics. You guys have brought up parts in a chapter that I never thought about reading it the 2 times or 3 times that I've already read it.
yeah, and Teresa and Toriel, who are reading it, actually reading it for the first time, they bring up some excellent points that we haven't thought about.
Mhm.
So that's
they're
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I gotta say, Teresa's great. Torio, for not watching the show or reading the books ever, it's amazing what she has. I mean, both of them, but Teresa watched the show, so you're going to get a little bit. But for her not to have watched or read the books and understanding that she has, she hopefully will be on Wednesday night with us, and we get to talk to her about that because I like to see things that she wasn't able to talk to us about, like the previous chapters, what she thinks.
Yeah, and this is an assumption for me though,
Mhm.
that when the Winds of Winter is out, this stream is dead because there's nothing to predict.
Oh no,
So-
we
So
go in.
we're probably gonna have Winds of Winter streams then.
Yeah, we're gonna go chapter at a time. We're gonna do 1 chapter a week for that thing because I want to destroy it with you guys.
We should do several per week.
Not for wins. For wins,
Yeah,
I want
but,
to do. We'll see how the book goes. I
Yeah,
feel like
because George said it was going to be the thickest book.
I
easily.
know.
So if it's like 1,500 pages,
Right.
and you do 1 chapter per week.
Well, maybe we'll do this. We'll do like a multi-chapter stream till we get through it, and then we'll go back and then dissect it, truly dissect it, because it's going to be, dude, it's going to be the only thing we get for another X amount of years. So
Well,
it.
I'm pretty sure we won't have to wait that long for book 7, because there's no show that's messing with George, and usually he writes more than what's published.
Mm-hmm.
So if he has like a bunch of chapters of book 7 already done, when
hopefully he just
6
goes
is
right
out.
into it.
Yeah, because that's what happened with the other books.
These guys are loving us taking our time with this stuff. So if they enjoy listening to it, I'm fine with just taking our time, because I really enjoy, like, the more I was about to end this, I think at the 135 or 40 mark, and we just went another 40 minutes without just talking about so much random stuff, but yet answering some questions maybe we've had about the books. I love this.
Here's another thing we could do.
Mm-hmm.
Ever play that Telltale Game of Thrones game?
Yes, I played. Yeah, they never made anything after that first one, right?
No, it might happen though, because they are so they have new owners now. But
is that the Texas flag?
What?
That flag, is that the Texas flag?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Oh, I'm sorry, Christy's not here. Go ahead, Stig. I'm sorry. They might.
Yeah, but that's Game of Thrones related. So if we like play through it, we could do, because that's 5 chapters, I think, of that game. So we could talk about that and how.
I would like to do Crusader King.
Oh, that's brutal.
We could do it like as a team, though. We'll create one character and we'll decide by majority what he does.
or we could do a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And stream it.
I've only saw the game on other people's streams. I don't even know what. You just download it, pay for it, download it.
You buy Crusader Kings 2, and then you download a mod for it.
Okay.
That has the Westeros stuff. So we could do like, the War of 5 Kings and shit like that.
That's freaking cool. So it's set up just for that. Like, the mod is the War of the 5 Kings mod.
Oh yeah, there's a Blackfire Rebellion one too.
That's so cool, dude. I would love to play that.
Yeah, and you can play as House Aaron or House, all kinds of houses. It's not just the main ones.
That's so awesome. All right, let's wrap it up. All right, thank you everybody for coming out, hanging out with us. Even if you just stopped in for a bit or stayed the whole time, I really appreciate it. Like we said just a couple of minutes ago, we love this stream. For me, Monday and Wednesday nights are my favorite nights. So please check us out, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mondays for our Winds of Winter prediction stream, Wednesdays for our Game of Thrones reread. And then I do a Saturday news dump after our Rogue Entertainment stream on Stephen Walton's channel. I'll be honest with you, it's not really for snowflakes. So if you get offended easily, please don't watch that stream. I'm telling you that right now, because enjoy having you as a sub, but I have strong feelings about things, and I'm a little conservative. Sorry. So I'm liberal when it comes to your life. Live it the way you want. Just don't tell me how to live mine. All right. So let's start with the lady. Please tell them where they can find you, Jayne.
Yes. Hey guys, you can find me here on YouTube, where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, as well as some occasional culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, Jayne. Are you a mod on mine?
You're not sure. Right? I don't know.
Not, I'll put you in there and you can drop your link. And Stig, I know you don't care, but where can they find you?
That tiny YouTube channel, Stig Kenobi. You can usually find me here though, or on Christie's channel, or I don't know. I'm just all over the place. It's I like talking to nerdy people about nerdy stuff, and sometimes I try to make sense as well.
I love it. I love having you guys on. I miss Christy though too. Wish she was here. I love when the four of us get together. I love when we have a guest on Wednesdays and the crazy crew I have come up on Saturdays. Thank you guys. You guys really have been helping out my channel. We're past 750 in subs. My watch time has gone up, I think in the last 28 days, like 150%. So I really appreciate that, guys. And I just enjoy talking about this stuff. I'll get to 1,000 in monetization when I do. I never expected this to make a lot of money or any money. I just really enjoy hanging out with cool people. So thank you guys for stopping in. Make sure you stop by Wednesday night. And remember, for my new Texan friend there, freedom ain't free. Protect the Alamo. Good night, everybody.